This is the Art Beauty Podcast, where we are always reaching for truth and beauty. Remember, the brands and the people on here are not paying to be here, so we get to ask them the questions we know you want answered because you deserve to be informed so you can make the best choices for yourself. With that said, I am Amber, and today my fabulous co-host is Dr. Corey L. Hartman. He is a friend of the show and founder of Skin Wellness Dermatology in Birmingham. Welcome, Dr. Hartman. It is always great to have you.
Hey, Amber, it's so exciting to be here. I'm so happy to help you celebrate your 250th anniversary. Congratulations. That is huge.
I mean, okay, well, 250th anniversary would make it sound like we've been around for 250 years. But episodes, no.
Episode.
So I want to address that quickly because it is our 250th episode. Thank you, everybody who has hung in there, who's been listening with us. We just really couldn't do it without your support. And, you know, when I started this podcast, a big part of what I wanted to do was to have a place where there was not branded content, right? So we could have brands, experts on who could talk about products, but also just so we could get some information. And there could be a place that was educational without you feeling like you were being, you know, sold down your throat. And so, Dr. Hartman, I'm so happy to have you on today because I think that we have covered so many different products over the past 250 episodes, procedures. We've had so many experts on, but I do understand that for some of us, you know, who don't want a 20-step routine, I mean, some of us love that, but some of us don't, you know, are there products that you feel like if we want to kind of simplify that are just those must-haves in our routine?
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you're bringing this topic up because as we've all seen over the past 3 years dealing with the pandemic, when everybody was kind of at home and looking for new outlets and new ways that they could interact, skincare was one big way that everybody could kind of engage and pay a little attention to themselves and get into self-care and get their skin together. And that was great. But with that, it became a little bit onerous. Some of these skincare routines were just so laborious and so much work. And like I tell patients all the time, listen, if that is your self-care, if that's how you relax, is to do an 8 to 12 step thing, and that's your, you know, that's how you feel good, then do it. But for the majority of us, we're leading busy lives. We have careers, we have families, we have kids, we have obligations, and we want to do what we need to do, but we can't be consumed by that. So I do a lot of educating in the office and online and just letting people know what really the basics are going to be. And then if there are specific things that you're working on, you know, maybe you have an armamentarium of products that you reach for here and there, but generally your basic foundational products really only need to be 3 things. And I call those the Holy Trinity of Skin Care. I'm from New Orleans, the Trinity, Holy Trinity. It has roots in Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic. It's a very Catholic city. And then the way that we cook our Creole food talks about the Holy Trinity of seasoning. So I thought, let's take it to skincare. And we're actually going to trademark that too, because we use it so much. So the Holy Trinity of Skincare consists of 3 categories of products. The first one being SPF. Obviously 90% of our extrinsic sun damage comes from outside in the sun. And so SPF is going to be hugely important to protect against that. The second step is going to be your antioxidants. Now, there are many different ingredients that make up that class antioxidants. We're talking vitamin C, vitamin E, ferulic acid, floritin, resveratrol, niacinamide. There are so many to choose from. You have to find the mix that works for you. And then the last bullet in the group is retinoids. And everybody's heard about retinoids. Why? Because retinoids are the most studied active ingredient for skincare with the most benefit of any product out there. So they're going to help you with just about every aspect of keeping your skin young. And you can find the one that works for you that doesn't cause a lot of irritation.
You know, I'm loving that you're saying this because I feel like people are skincare. First of all, our skin is so varied, and the products that we are attracted to can be very, very different, right? We might like the texture of one, we might not like the smell of another. You know, I would be kind of amiss though if I didn't say, can we kind of go through the three? And if you do have some, favorites, I would love to know. Let's kind of work backwards here. Let's start
Sure.
with the retinoids.
Yep.
I think retinoids can be tricky because if you use too much too soon, you're going to get the irritation. I know that, as I've aged, my hormones have changed. I've had trouble with retinoids that I used to use. So do you have any advice, first of all, for introducing that into our routine? Do we have to use like a certain percentage? Can you kind of fill
Sure.
us in on that?
Good question. And retinoids as a class are confusing because they're retinols, they're retinols, they're retinoids. Some are prescription, some are not. And yes, that is why a lot of people get discouraged using it because they may have picked up a product that just wasn't intended for their skin.
Right.
Generally, the prescription strength retinoids are really indicated for acne, but we know that they have other benefits as well. So if you don't deal with active acne, you probably don't need a prescription retinoid. If you're working on pore size and oiliness and texture and pigment, a regular retinol is probably okay. Now, they're all vitamin A derivatives. The retinol is then goes through a transformation in the skin to become retinol and then eventually a retinoid. The stronger that you apply it to your skin, the more directly it's going to impact your skin. It doesn't have to go through all of those different transmutations to become the active ingredient. But retinols are what most people need, and that's where most people have the greatest success with the least amount of irritation.
Okay.
So there's that aspect, and then there's vehicle. And then there's climate, and there's season, and so many different things go into it. But generally, that's a good way to break that down. And then you look at the percentage isn't necessarily that important because as you look at retinol versus retinoid, the numbers get kind of tricky. You can't really compare the two class to class. So start with something mild and start with it very slowly. Right. I always recommend that patients start, maybe 2 times a week for the first 3 or 4 weeks and kind of work your way up. And you made another very good point. The products that you can use in your 20s are not the same products that you're going to use in your 50s. Just like everything else in life, your skin goes through changes. And so I recommend every 10 years or so, you kind of take an inventory of what you're using and find products that are more tailored to what your skin is giving you now, not what your skin was giving you when you were in college.
Such great information there. Is there a way for us to know, like, when is it working? How do we know if we're using enough, if we're not using enough? Is there any sort of guidance you can give us there?
Yes. So retinoid, retinol, all of them are generally dosed with a pea-sized amount. That's a good way to kind of measure and gauge how much you need. Now, people have different size faces, but that's a good rule of thumb on how you want to apply it. A pea-sized amount, dot it in 4 or 5 places, rub it all in. Another helpful tip is you can use it atop a moisturizer that will help it to get into your skin where it's going to be effective, bypassing the epidermis where you're going to see a lot of those changes. A lot of the retinols and retinoids are lipophilic, meaning that environment that you create with the moisturizer helps to get it to where it really needs to be effective. So pea-sized amount, go slowly, and you can use it with the moisturizer if that helps you to get used to it faster.
And now, so I'm glad we got on the amount, but like, how do we know if it's working? Like,
Okay, yeah.
we know if listen, we've all put in too much and your skin gets
Yes.
irritated and you go through what do they call them? The retinol
Retinization.
uglies. Ugh.
Yes. Yes.
But like, how do we know when we're like, okay, I'm actually using the right amount for my skin type?
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, we have to give everything at least 4 to 6 weeks to start seeing changes. And if you are titrating up, it may take as long as 3 months before you start to see it. But when you're using the right product without irritation, you're going to see the improvement. Your skin's going to be tighter. It's going to be firmer. It's going to be more even. You're going to have fewer breakouts. It's just going to be smoother and not have any of that residual like crusty scaly on the top. So you will know when you're using the right product, just like you'll know if you're using too much of it.
Now, do we all have to go through that retinization period? Like, is that something that we know? I think that can discourage people, or is
Sure.
it kind of like, yes, you should be doing this. And then also, when should we back off? Because too much of, using retinoids can actually backfire on us,
It
right?
can damage your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody doesn't have to go through the retinization process. In fact, there are some wonderful new products on the market now where virtually nobody goes through the retinization product. My favorite one, I recommend it all day long, is Skin Better Alpha Ret. So alpha hydroxy acid, retinol, they are together in one product. This is really Skin Better's like marquee product that put them on the map. It's won a ton of awards, but beyond that, it really does work for most people.
Yeah.
They have an intensive version as well that you can graduate to. And they also have one called Alpha Ret Clearing Serum with salicylic acid. So you get a triple threat if you have breakouts. It helps to control those. So that is my absolute favorite. And I would say 98% of the patients that I recommend it to are able to tolerate it out the gate with out a titration period with no irritation.
Wow. I've got to tell you, I've talked to so many doctors and everybody says Alpharet, and I'm embarrassed to say I still haven't tried it, but I think right after this,
You
I know what
have
I'm going to be
to.
ordering. I know, because listen, I've been having trouble kind of reintroducing retinols into my
Sure.
routine, but I know that when you use them, your skin just looks like baby skin.
Well,
It
your
looks
skin
like
looks fabulous.
butter. Oh,
Yeah.
good lighting, good makeup. You know how that goes. Okay, so we've got the retinols and retinoids covered. SPF, obviously, because if you're using the retinoids, you have to use an SPF. Um,
Absolutely.
is the SPF in our makeup enough?
The SPF in your makeup is absolutely not enough. I love answering that question. I love when patients say, but it's in my makeup, but it's not, because makeup is not designed to really be absorbed into your skin. And generally, the SPF in makeup is not going to be above 15 to 20. And we know that to get optimum protection from the UV light that we're exposed to with this weakened ozone layer, we need SPF 30 to 50. Now, historically, we've known that the increment doesn't really change that much when you go above 50, but some new research is showing that there may be a benefit. I tell people, don't spend a lot of money on something that's extra, that's over 50 though. Generally, 30 to 50 is going to be where you want to land. So yes, that's the good place to be for that.
Okay. And then, there are so many different, I think, fabulous SPFs out there. Is there one that you sort of like and that you recommend?
So I'm a mineral sunscreen
Mm,
guy because we have a household where my wife and my daughter have a lot of sensitivities, and it's too much for us to think about who can use what and where and how. So we like to keep it simple and keep it to mineral sunscreens. And in America, the mineral sunscreens are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. I have a few favorites. I just did a post on one that I really love by Color Science. It's called No Show Mineral, and it has something magical in it that just makes my skin glow so that hours later, I'm not an oil slick having to wipe down because I produce a lot of oil, which is a good thing, but it's annoying. So absolutely Color Science No Show. Another favorite is Supergoop.
I
They
love
have a
Supergroup.
great mineral sunscreen as well. And then Isden, the Aerofitona actinica, that has been my go-to. It's very lightweight. It has some DNA repair enzymes, and even people who hate sunscreen like that one.
Now, I will just say before we kind of move on. So, I love Tizo. I've had them. I think I
Oh, love
introduced you.
Typo.
Love Tizo. But it depends. Super good for me. I like their Unseen, which is not a mineral. It is a chemical. But I think that in terms of underneath makeup, it is the most beautiful. There is also a company called Oxygenetics. Now, I know I said don't trust the sunscreen in your makeup, but this was a line that was designed specifically for post-procedure skin. It's
Gotcha.
100% breathable, but it also has minerals in there so that it will block. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I went to an event where they had one of those photo cameras where you could see the sun damage.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
sat down and the guy was like, wow, you've got no damage on your skin. And I was like, well, listen, in all fairness, I'm wearing Oxygenetics and I've got the super goop underneath. So, and he was like, yes, of course, but you're blocked. But he was like, what a great indicator that
That's a
you
great
are.
testimonial.
Yeah. And he's like, there it is,
Yeah. I'm glad you said Tizo. I love Tizo. I'm kind of playing around with it now. It's just really hard to find it, but
yeah.
we're thinking about bringing it on.
Oh, really? Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
Is there one that you like?
I've tried two, and I don't really know the differences that well to differentiate yet. But so far, I'm liking it.
Yeah, they've got a good, it's like a primer, and then they have an AM replenish one. So
Okay.
on days when I'm going sort of like makeup free, I use that. It also can be used underneath makeup, but to me, I like the silicone feel of a primer. So that's where Supergoop kind of wins if I'm going out like that. Um, Now with sunscreen, you've got to reapply it, which I feel like so many of us don't do. Are there any good sort of reapplication sunscreens that you know of?
Yeah, that's really tricky. So Oars and Alps has a stick that's very convenient. And I know that they really cater their products toward men, but anybody can use it. I think that it's just that it makes it convenient. And as men, we're not as willing to do the extra work. And it's not a chemical sunscreen, but it goes on really easily. It's a big, fat, wide stick that you get a lot of surface area coverage when you apply it. It doesn't melt in the car, so you can keep it on the go. And it's a good one to just quickly reapply. The Color Science brushes are also another favorite that fly out of our office because it's almost like a makeup
Yeah.
application and it's very neat. It slips back into its own case. You can dot, 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 and keep it moving. And that way, you've done your reapplication throughout the day.
That is great. Thank you for reminding me. I know Supergoop has one of those as well, which is great. But I think I want to try the Color Science. I've heard so many great things about it. So that's going to be, look, I'm adding some new things to my list now.
There
What do
you
you know?
go.
Okay. And then antioxidants, right?
All right.
Because I
So
think, yeah,
antioxidants is that's the one that requires the most conversation because there are so many different types. And then we have to talk about all the different active ingredients and the vehicles and all the different things, the stability. So vitamin C is really the cornerstone of antioxidants. I don't know if people know this, but the company SkinCeuticals was actually founded back in the 70s by Dr. Sheldon Pennell. And he's the first one that came out and did the research to show the benefit of using antioxidants. So before that, antioxidants weren't a thing. It was just retinols. So antioxidants help to stop the breakdown of collagen in our skin. To me, that's the biggest benefit. You're going to see other benefits as well, like helping with pigmentation. But to me, the biggest thing is the way that it scavenges free radicals. Free radicals are formed when the electron in the cells start to break away, and that causes the matrix metalloproteinases in our skin to start munching on our collagen. And we all know that our collagen peaks at about 25 years of age and then goes down about 10%, about 1% every year. So you're never going to get that collagen back unless you do procedures and use products that are going to keep those fibroblasts moving. So you want to do everything you can to hold on to everything that you can. Dr. Pennell did very specific clinical trials and research to show what the ratio of vitamin C, ferulic acid, and vitamin E needed to be optimum for protection and correction without being too irritating. Vitamin C is also notoriously unstable.
yeah.
So if you want it to be as effective as possible, you want to make sure that it's as stable in formulation and in the bottle as it can be. And that even gets down to how it's packaged, because outside visible light, UV light, anything that can penetrate the bottle can break that product down and make it less effective. So opaque containers are a consideration when thinking about antioxidants. But there are many other products that we've discovered since, active ingredients that we have discovered since, that can be helpful. And that gold standard CE ferulic that everybody tries to copy, that one may not be the best one for you. I've liked that one for patients who have, dry skin. But if you have really oily skin, if you're working on pigmentation, or if you have acne, there are other things that you can try.
Right.
One product that is universally accepted by many different skin types is Revision. Their vitamin C that everybody seems to C correcting serum, I think it's called C plus correcting. That one everybody loves. It goes on easily. It doesn't leave a tint. And, because some of the antioxidants can also make your skin a little yellow.
Yeah. So listen, CE Ferulic is an incredible product. It has a cult following. For me, the smell is so
Hot dog
prohibitive.
water.
It is horrific. I will say it. And again, not being paid to say this, Taizo had a really beautiful one that they just came out with.
Okay, I
I'd
didn't
be
even know they
interested.
had it.
Oh, it's brand new product, but I'm curious. So it's a CE solution
Okay.
and serum, but It just glides on. It has more of like a dry oil feel. You got to try that one out.
I want to
I'm
try that one.
impressed
I
by it.
wish Taizo
And it
had
smells
better
delicious. It smells
representation in
delicious.
the field. Okay, I can't wait to try it.
I know. Taizo is that unsweet. They also have that stick that I got my husband to use, that mineral
Okay,
stick. So I mean,
well, that's a winner.
I know it is a winner, but I do think that with women in makeup, sorry not to digress here, but that the
Sure,
powder ones, the reapplication. Thank you for reminding me of those because a stick for a woman, if you've got your makeup on, that ain't
it's
it.
not going to work.
It's not it. Somebody needs to come out with also like a beautiful spray. Although then we get into the
Yes,
aerosols.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but they're doing them like a pump spray now. That's not an aerosol. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Kula has one that was pretty good. It was like actually like a cooling one, but I think better for the beach. I like
right.
what you said about color science, Supergoop. Some of those powder ones are, I think, way more
User friendly.
feasible. Yes,
Yes.
especially when you have your makeup done. Okay. Antioxidants. Are there other ones that you like right now?
Resveratrol is another SkinCeuticals product. And then
Mhm.
there's a company called Illumier, MD. They have a great vitamin C and E peptide that the packaging is really neat because you get a 3-month supply, but they're individually packaged in 3 different bottles. And the vitamin C is actually kept separate in these granules. And you apply the cap, which contains the vitamin C, and then the vitamin E is in the serum below. And you crush the cap and the particles then become activated into the serum right then so that you always have fresh product that's not losing stability or getting old over time. So I like the ingenuity and innovativeness of that product. And it's a nice, easygoing serum that a lot of people also have really responded to. That's the one that kind of stands out in my mind. Oh, how could I forget? La Roche-Posay. They always
Yeah.
have great products. They're reasonably priced and they have a wonderful vitamin C that is a crowd favorite as well.
I will say too, if you are looking for brightening and of the discoloration, Beauty Stat has one, but it's a 20%. So
Okay.
it's a stabilized vitamin C. It is a beautiful formulation, but if you have sensitive skin, it's really high. It's really potent
It's
formula.
strong. Yeah.
It's strong, but it's really, really lovely. Any thoughts on time of day that you like to apply these? Obviously, SPF you want in the daytime before you're going
Right.
outside. But thoughts on it, do you do the antioxidant during the day, the retinol at night?
Yeah, I think that's an easy, simple way that people can kind of get into it is to think about protecting in the morning with the vitamin C and the sunscreen, and then you kind of replenish at night with the retinol. And that way it gets you into a routine. It's still not super, time consuming. And most people can get on board with that simple regimen.
I love it. Because here, listen, we celebrate, like you said, the routines. I mean, if you saw my bathroom, forget about it. That said, it is kind of nice to know, like, okay, what are the things that I really need? Dr. Hartman, it is always wonderful to have you on here. Thank you so much for being here. Anything new coming up with you before we let you go?
What's new coming up? Well, I'm about to head out and do some injectable trainings. We're launching Skin Vive with Allergan, which is going to be a game changer. Like it's kind of opening up that skin booster market. So really excited about that. We have some clinical trials coming up for some new products that are coming that are going to be innovative. So like think collagen, think plant derived. I can't give away too much, but there's going to be some exciting stuff coming in the world of injectables very, very soon.
And don't we will get him back on for this. You can't even say no. I love having you here.
I would
By the
never
way,
say no.
while we got you, thoughts
Yes.
on like thoughts on Daxify. Right now, we've had a couple times, and like, oh yeah,
You know what? Glabella, 1,000% yes. Go for it. 100%. The forehead has been a little bit disappointing. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. It's just not we haven't found that right like formulation to get us that duration that we're all looking for. So yeah, that's where we are with it. I'm gonna give you the truth.
Yeah, listen, that's what we do this. We keep it real. And I want to follow up. Somebody was like, do you want to try this? And I was like, I don't know. Botox still works, but it wears off, 2 months. It's like you're moving again.
Yeah.
Um,
If
but
you get a chance, let me know what you think. I've had patients come back this perfect.
yeah,
Forehead, not so
yeah.
much.
Okay. Well, listen, I will keep it real with you too. And of course, if people want to come and find you, I wish you were in New York, but you're not. How can they come and find you?
Yes, I am in Birmingham, Alabama. My practice is called Skin Wellness Dermatology. You can find us online at skinwellness.com. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all the places at Dr. Corey Hartman.
I love that, Dr. Hartman. Thank you so much for being here with you. Wait a minute. Is it Dr. Corey L. Hartman?
It is Dr. Corey L. Hartman.
On Instagram.
But no, on Instagram, I keep it simple because it kind of confuses things with the initial and you can't really read it well. So
I got you. Right. You didn't want to be Corey Hartman.
Right,
yeah. Okay,
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I know you go by Corey L. You got to keep it. It's your personality. It's everything about you.
It's my mother's maiden name. Yes. Thank you very much.
Well, cheers to your mama. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, everybody listening at home, thank you. 250 episodes. We really appreciate your support. If you've got questions you want me to pass on to Dr. Corey L. Hartman, or if you have topics you want to bring them back on for, because we love our Dr. Hartman, absolutely email me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you, Dr. Hartman.
Thanks, Amber. Bye-bye.